Yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys had a good week. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA. I make videos for NFL. We got NBA coming up in a few weeks. I am super, super excited for that. All these videos, they get posted right here on this subreddit. It's called DF Sports, and I make updates with all the news that comes out, what that changes for me about the slate, and you can ask me questions about the slate coming up, and I'll always respond to you. And if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can do so on Twitter. Here is my Twitter handles right here. You can message me. I'll always reply to guys there as well. All right, so let's go over my lineups from last Thursday, and it was another great day for me. Pull up my tournament lineup as well. Did not cash in tournaments, but as you guys know, most of my volume is cash games. Cash games went very, very well for me. There was two lineups that I was considering, and I slightly liked this lineup a little bit more, but I was really, really scared of fading Purdy. I was really, really scared of that. And the second lineup that I was considering didn't have Christian McCaffrey at captain, and that was also something I was really scared about. So my thought process was, I don't think Purdy's going to kill me if I fade him regardless. I don't think he has, like 25-point ceiling, even though he did that. Basically, it happened. Luckily, Christian McCaffrey at captain was good enough to get me in there. So the lineup that I went with, and the cash core that I had was Christian McCaffrey, Ronnie Bell, and Daniel Jones was my cash core. And then I run it on my lineup, as you guys can see here. And then the other lineup that I was considering, heavily considering, was Daniel Jones captain with Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, Ronnie Bell, Elijah Mitchell, and Christian McCaffrey. Luckily, I did not go there because I thought Christian McCaffrey at captain was a must. So lucked out there a little bit. And then my tournament lineup, I am in just incredible, incredible amounts of pain because my tournament core was Ronnie Bell, Christian McCaffrey, and Deebo Samuel, all of which absolutely nuked three of the highest scores on the slate. And then I just have Daniel Jones and Darren Waller just absolutely sinking me. All I needed was 25 points. So what? 12 more points combined from Waller and Jones to have a possibly take down. Could have happened. Could have happened. Darren Waller had like 3 drops. Daniel Jones missed him on 3 passes, 6 targets, I believe. Just super unfortunate. And Daniel Jones just looked horrible. So that's the look back, guys. It was a profitable Thursday for me. And let's get into this slate. The Reddit post will be linked in the comments, and it'll also have my Discord in there where I have more in-depth stuff. All right, let's go over. So let's go over, I guess, my favorite stacks on the week. Or you know what? Maybe we'll just go team by team. Um, Yeah, we'll go team by team for once. I think we'll change it up. And then I'll go over my favorite stacks and how I rank them in this team by team stuff. And then I'll go over the best plays on the slate, like cash game stuff, at the end of the video. So we're going to make this like a 10-minute video, 10-15 minutes. I'll speed it up. I'm not going to talk about everyone. I'm not going to go too in depth about everyone, but I'll tell you. We'll just go team by team real quick. So we have Anthony Richardson out. I actually think you can consider Gardner Minshew in cash games at 5.1K. I think it's completely fine. The thing with Anthony Richardson being out, it's actually a boost to this offense, and it's a boost to everyone here. It's a boost to all the pass catchers. It's a boost to the tight ends. Even a boost to Zach Moss, because you don't have Anthony Richardson running the ball, and you don't have Gardner Minshew isn't going to vulture touchdowns like Anthony Richardson was vulturing touchdowns. So you actually do have a boost here with this offense for fantasy with Gardner Minshew here, and he's cheap. So I actually think he's viable in cash, and I think I'm probably not going to go there in tournaments, but he is viable. You can play anyone in tournaments. Just make sure you're stacking with them. Zach Moss is going to be one of the most popular running back plays in the slate. It's hard to kind of ignore him. If we take a look, he played 56 of the 57 snaps last week. He got 23 opportunities. If we're going to keep expecting this kind of usage and opportunities, it seems like he's their go-to guy. Like when Zach Moss was out, Deion Jackson basically got pretty much the entire game. So they're going to go with their guys. I think he looks like a really good play. He's going to be extremely popular. For wide receiver, I think Pittman's fine. You know, if I'm playing Minshew stacks, I'm definitely going to be pairing him with Pittman. I think he's fine. Expectation of targets for him is, you know, kind of close to double digits. So, and they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more. So I do like Pittman. I think you can use him as a one-off. I think he's cash game viable as well. So yeah, I think the Colts are interesting. Definitely do have some chalk pieces here, but no standouts outside of like Moss, Pittman. So Lamar, Baltimore stacks. I'm just kind of indifferent on them this week. I think Andrews is a good play. I think a lot of people are going to pay it for Kelsey. I think some people will go with Hawkinson and Kirk Cousins stacks, so that kind of leaves Andrews in like this no man's land in ownership. I think he's fine. So wide receiver, you know, Flowers, Bateman, meh. Probably only going to be playing them if I'm stacking Lamar Jackson. Then I'm not going to go to any of these running backs. So pretty much a pretty bleak team for me. Titans, I have no interest in Tannehill. No interest in the running backs really up against Cleveland. Don't really like stacking here at all. So Titans basically kind of a cross off for me. Not too high on anything on Cleveland. Looking at the total for this game, it's disgusting. It's going to be like a slog. Blech, just absolutely disgusting. So I'm not too high on Watson. But Chubb out, Ford's going to be popular. He is too cheap at 4.8K. I do like him quite a bit. Amari Cooper, I actually think is solid at 5.7. He was really, really low owned on the showdown last Monday. He absolutely smashed at like 10% ownership. I guess people got scared coming off the injury. Good spot here for the Browns. So I think Cooper's a pretty good play. I think Elijah Moore is fine. I don't love him with Cooper back, but he did have 9 targets, so pretty safe play. Targets will be there. Ceiling a bit meh, and then tight end. I think Njoku's okay. Don't really love Watson stacks this week, but I think there are some one-offs that are pretty good, like Ford, you know, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore if you need the value, and Njoku just fair. So Cleveland's okay. Atlanta, no interest in the quarterbacks. Running back, I don't love Robinson this week. Wide receiver, London, just indifferent. I don't like Hollins, don't like anyone here. Tight end, no thank you. On to Detroit. Goff stack's definitely not my favorite running back. So here's the thing with Gibbs. He's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Had 9 targets, had 7 attempts. I just don't. I think people are kind of over projecting what he's going to get snap count wise with Montgomery out. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's just going to get a ton of work. You have Reynolds here, who I think is going to get a decent chunk of work as well. So I don't really think the role is going to change too much for Gibbs. I still think he's in play, but kind of the same as what he has been. Like I think he gets a slight boost, but I think people are kind of over projecting a little bit there. Not really a fan of Gibbs. I'm not going to play him in cash. I think he's fine in tournaments. Then we have to monitor the news with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Josh Reynolds, I think, is a pretty good value regardless. And then if you get Amon-Ra St. Brown out, I think he just becomes an even better value. Already cash game viable. If Amon-Ra St. Brown's out, it comes even a better cash game play. Tight end, I think Laporta is pretty good. As a stack, not one of my favorites. We're gonna start getting into the better stacks in a few games, but I think there are some okay plays here, like Laporta. I think Reynolds is a good value. So yeah, that's Detroit. All right, Saints. I probably am just going to cross this team off. I'm not going to bore you guys too much, so we're just going to probably cross off the Saints. Kind of the same thing with the Packers. I don't really have too much interest in Love. Don't have too much interest in the running backs. Don't have too much interest in the wide receivers outside of Jaden Reed, who I think is another pretty good value for salary relief if you need it. And I'm not going to play like Musgrave's just fair. Don't love it. I'd rather play Zach Ertz. All right, now getting to some stacks I like. So I actually like Stroud stacks this week. And the reason being is they're going to throw the ball an absolute ton. The stack is super, super cheap. So if you're playing Stroud stacks, you can basically fit whatever you want around them. So I actually do like Stroud stacks this week. It's absolutely disgusting, but I think he'll be kind of unowned. So I'm pretty high on Stroud. Just a tournament dart, but I like it for tournaments. I think at running back, I'm not really going to play anyone. I think they're just much, much better plays at running back. Wide receiver. Here's the thing. Nico Collins carved out a decent role. He's getting a bunch of targets with how much they're throwing the ball. Robert Woods played strictly in the slot. He got 9 targets. He looks good. Tank Dell, probably going to be one of the more popular pump plays on the slate. He got 10 targets. He was playing on the outside and some in the slot. I like him a lot. There are a lot of wide receivers on this Houston team that I'm pretty high on, and it pains me to say it, but I do like these Houston wide receivers quite a bit. And I do like Stroud stacks. It's disgusting, but I do like them. And then you have Dalton Schultz playing a ton of snaps. I like him at tight end. He won't be owned too much. I think he's solid. Not going to rank as one of my favorite stacks on the week, but I think it's perfectly fine. My favorite, probably the most popular, is going to be like something like that. And then my favorite bring back for this stack is going to be that. All right, moving on to Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence is a really good stack as well. Not going to rank as one of my top stacks. My top stacks are going to be in that Chargers game, but he looks really good. You also have a really good play in Travis Etienne. They're actually starting to throw him the ball a decent amount. Had 5 targets week 1, 3 targets week 2. Phenomenal matchup against Houston. Expectation of touches around, I don't know, about 20. They're at home. They're favored. Absolutely a huge fan of ETN this week. He looks phenomenal to me. I think, with Zay Jones out, Kirk looks really good at 5-4. Calvin Ridley, I love as a bounce back candidate after a bad week last week at really high ownership. I think Ingram is perfectly fine at 4-8. So, really like this Jacksonville team. And then my favorite pairing with Lawrence is going to be Ridley Kirk, and it's just not close. My favorite bring back, and it's probably going to be the most popular bring back, is going to be Tank Dell. Denver, I'm just going to cross this team off. I just don't really have any interest in anyone. Miami, another stack that I think is going to go way under owned than it should be this week. Buffalo stacks, Miami stacks, I think are going to go way under owned than they should be. Looking at the total for Miami, 25.5. With Justin Jefferson getting all the ownership, just take a look. Justin Jefferson going to get all the ownership. Keenan Allen going to get all the ownership. Calvin Ridley is going to get some. So it kind of leaves Hill and Diggs in this weird spot where I don't think they're going to get a ton of ownership. Tyreek Hill, matchup proof. We have to monitor injury with Waddle. Could open up more stuff for Hill. Smythe would be even better. I think Mostert's fine. Just a lot of ways you can go about stacking too. I probably wouldn't include Mostert in those stacks, but if you want to like full onslaught, that's completely okay. I think going to be completely underowned. Definitely a tournament stack that I'm eyeing quite a bit. And then my favorite bring back for this is probably going to be Judy. Yeah, pretty high on Miami stacks for tournaments. I just think they're going way, way underowned. We'll talk about Buffalo in a minute, who I also think is going pretty underowned. All right, the most popular game of the week, the Chargers at Vikings. So Herbert looks phenomenal to me. They're playing in a dome, highest total in the week. You have Eckler out, Joshua Kelly in a much better spot than he was last week. He looks great, going to be really, really popular. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, going to be two of the most popular wide receiver plays on the slate. It's really, really hard to ignore him with the shootout potential, with the targets, with the floor with Keenan Allen. He looks phenomenal. Mike Williams is too cheap at 6K. He looks great. Both going to be popular, but hard to ignore either. Everett Parham, they're kind of splitting the tight end snaps right now, so it's hard to trust either, but you can definitely include them with Herbert stacks. And then the chalk, and my favorite is just going to be Herbert, Keenan, Mike Williams doubles. And then we already went over Kelly, who I think is a great running back play, but will definitely garner a lot of ownership. And then Kirk Cousins double is going to be extremely popular. I think Madison is just a phenomenal, phenomenal tournament play this week. I don't think anyone is really going to be too high on Madison. He's looked awful. He's been a cloud of dust. Everyone is going to play Kirk Cousins and his pass catchers. Everyone is going to play Justin Herbert and his pass catchers. That's going to leave Madison in this weird spot where you can leverage the field and just pray. What if he gets like 2 touchdowns and Kirk Cousins only throws for one, and it isn't to Justin Jefferson, then you're in such a massive spot over the field that could win you a tournament. So I'm pretty high on Madison for tournaments this week. Really like him. Justin Jefferson is overall the best wide receiver play on the slate. If you're thinking about like raw projection, he looks great. The thing with Addison and Osborne, so Addison did get a bump in snap percentage. He played about 70% of the snaps last week. But the thing is, the target percentage and target market share is mainly going to just be Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, and then you'll get Addison and KJ Osborne mixing in a bit. Both have pretty low floors. I think Osborne's a bit safer. Point per dollar, I do prefer Osborne. Addison, definitely the higher ceiling. I think, my favorite double with Kirk is going to be something like this. You're going to have to pay up for it, but it's clearly my favorite. And then, if you go with something like this, you can bring it back with like a Kelly or a Keenan Allen. You can definitely afford something like this easily. All right, New England cross off, Jets cross off, Buffalo. Another stack that I'm pretty high on, kind of like Miami. I think they're going a bit under owned in tournaments. Listen, Buffalo's offense is matchup proof. I know it's not a great spot. So I think they're going a bit under owned. Josh Allen is always in play for me, no matter the spot, no matter what the other games look like. I think James Cook is fair, and Stephon Diggs solid, going under own. Tight end Kincaid, Knox, they're playing a bunch of snaps. Slightly prefer Kincaid to Knox, but just fine. And then my favorite double with them is just going to be probably this. If you want pure ceiling, if you want a safer approach, go with something like this. And then favorite bring back for this is going to be McLaurin. Washington, I'm not going to play anyone, I don't think. I think Brian Robinson's fine. Don't love it. And let's move on to Carolina. I'm not going to. You can take a dart on Dalton for tournaments, whatever. Miles Sanders, not in love with either. I think, with Andy Dalton playing at quarterback, gives a little bit of a bump to the pass catchers. Like Thielen's okay. Mingo had a bunch of targets, but didn't catch. Only caught 3. You have DJ Chark back. I'm not in love with. I think my favorite play from the wide receivers is going to be Adam Thielen. Hirsch just indifferent on. Don't love it. Don't hate it. The Geno, another stack that I like. So Geno, I think Ken Walker is going to garner a bunch of ownership. Carolina cannot stop anything. Probably going to get around 20 touches. He looks like a really good play at 6'2". Got to monitor DK Metcalf, but love Metcalf for tournaments. Love Lockett for tournaments if he plays. And just keep monitoring that. Favorite bring back would be Adam Thielen for Geno doubles. And then everyone's going to play Tony Pollard. Everyone. I think you can consider Dak Prescott doubles. Super high total for Dallas at 29 against the worst defense ever. So if you want to leverage the field, kind of what we talked about with Madison, you can do Dak doubles with like CD Cooks or Ferguson. Consider something like this. That's another way you can leverage the field, because Tony Pollard looks like another phenomenal play up against Arizona, who's getting a bunch of volume, a bunch of targets. He looks like the best clear spend-up running back on the slate to me. But that's a way you can leverage it, is play Dak doubles, but Tony Pollard looks great. Arizona, if I were to bring back with someone another value play that's going to get a bunch of volume, is Marquise Brown, who I like. He would be my favorite bring back. James Conner, I'm not going to play against Dallas. Tight end, Zach Ertz, another volume, high floor play at tight end that's probably going to be popular, especially in cash games. I do like. Chicago, I don't like anyone. And then Kansas City, I think, is always good. They're always good, always under-owned. Not going to play the running backs. Wide receiver, it's a coin flip. MVS is your safest, but you're just taking darts there. And I think Travis Kelce is, probably the best tight end play like on the slate if you're not considering salary. Definitely can consider in cash as well. All right, now that we got the breakdown team by team out of the way, let's just go over like the best plays in the slate. Let's go over cash game stuff. So I think there are a bunch of quarterbacks that you can definitely consider this week. I think you can consider Mahomes. I think you can consider Lamar. I think you can consider Herbert, Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence, Geno. Gardner Minshew, I think, is wild. There's a ton of quarterbacks that I think are in consideration this week. I think the best one right now, as I messed with builds, is probably going to be Kirk Cousins. I think he'll probably be the most popular as well. He's probably my favorite, but all those guys I just mentioned, I think, are viable. Running back, Tony Pollard, if you're spending up, great. ETN, absolutely love. Um, Ken Walker, I think, is solid. Madison, I don't love it in cash, but it's fine. He's playing a ton of snaps. Um, Zach Moss going to be extremely popular, really good. Kelly already went over. He looks like a great play. Um, Going down further, I'm sure we can find someone. Jerome Ford, viable. Going to be popular as well. So a lot of guys at running back that I think are good for cash as well. Wide receiver, so if I'm spending up for a wide receiver in cash, it's probably going to be Justin Jefferson. Diggs is always viable, but once again, I'd much rather just play Justin Jefferson in a phenomenal game environment in a dome. Highest total on the slate, high floor, high ceiling. Expectation of targets is 10 plus every week. So JJ, if I'm spending up, I think Keenan Allen's pretty strong. Same game. You can definitely play JJ and Keenan Allen together if you have the money. I think that's good. Calvin Ridley in play. Going down further, Michael Pittman Jr. I think is fine. I think Mike Williams is going to be extremely, extremely popular, especially off his 13 target week last week. But in that same game, like I said, this game is going to be very, very, very popular. I'm expecting a lot of targets for these guys. So Pittman, Mike Williams, going down further. I think you can always consider Flowers. Think Kirk's in consideration. Nico Collins, a play as well. Marquise Brown, gonna get a bunch of volume. That's all we want in cash, right? We just want volume, full PPR scoring. Very, very valuable. That's all we care about. Elijah Moore in play. I actually think you could consider Robert Woods. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'd rather just spend down for Tank Dell, who I think will probably be the most popular punt play. But I think Woods is viable. Jaden Reed, I think, is good. Tank Dell, I think, is probably the best punt right now below the 4K range. So if you're spending down, he'll probably be the my favorite as of right now. I think I skipped Reynolds. Where is Reynolds? He has a Q tag, so yeah, Reynolds I think is strong as well, especially if we get news that Amon-Ra St. He full participated. Okay, even if Amon-Ra St. Brown's in, I think Reynolds is still viable. Tight end, so Kelsey, always a strong cash game play. I think I'm probably only considering two guys, Kelsey and Zach Ertz, personally for me. Other guys in play, though, I think you can consider. Yeah, I don't know if I'd go to Hawk because if I'm spending 6,500 for a tight end in cash, I'm just gonna go up to Travis Kelsey. So I don't think it's necessary to go to Hawk. I think Hurst is always viable in a cash game setting. Prefer Zach Ertz straight up for cheaper. And I think that's going to be it, guys. I think that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys had a great, great week, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow.